school there, or
Hello.
be ready to do that.
I guess they could chat.
Say hi to them, see what happens.
Hi. See what happens. Let's just wait. Okay. There's 30-second lag. It's getting shorter and shorter every day. So we'll say something and then we'll hear it. Yes.
It's like a star. It shines light and then you see it way later.
Yes, it is.
Like a what?
A star.
Oh.
You're not seeing the light, but it's shining the light.
Well,
You're
what's a
seeing the light
star?
like way later.
You know,
Light
if
you're
you
seeing is the
could
light.
go into, I don't know what galaxy, but if you could go into some of the nearby galaxies and look back, you would see the dinosaurs on the Earth.
Really?
Yeah. Like right now, if you were on that galaxy and looking at the Earth, you would still see the dinosaurs. Isn't that crazy?
That's totally crazy.
How do you know this?
I love reading quantum physics stuff. So anytime I see stuff on Facebook, I love quantum physics.
Did you see Interstellar?
I haven't seen it.
How cool is that?
Yeah, he actually saw it today.
I haven't seen it.
Come on in, everyone. We're gonna get started in about a minute or two for those people online. Ah, we lost them. No, you don't have to
Oh,
keep,
they
you don't
didn't like
have to
what
keep
we were
doing it.
talking about.
Just throughout it, like see. Yeah, they were like, oh my gosh.
We're talking about dinosaurs.
Yeah,
This
they were
is
like,
not what I thought.
Wrong website.
all right. I know a couple other people are coming right now. Let's get started. Whatever. They come in. You want to just take my phone in case they call or something? Okay, thanks. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Satsang at our house. I love having home, house, home. Yes. So let's start with our eyes closed, and people at home too, anybody that's watching. Just let's close our eyes. Come on in, and take a moment to really get present. Get present to this space, this moment. However you do that, maybe taking some breaths, some deep breaths. And notice what the energy feels like for you, like from your day. Notice your body right now. You feel tense, you feel peaceful, you feel calm, excited. What are you noticing yourself? And just get really present and clear with whatever that is for you. And maybe set an intention for the evening, for the class. What would you want to open up for yourself in this? Maybe if you had one question, burning question, what would that be? You'll notice sounds and maybe people coming in, doors. Just gently turn your attention away from it and really be present with your own sense of being, of aliveness. And we ask for guidance in this space, in this sacred space tonight. That each person here may hear what they need to hear. That satsang be a wiping away, cleansing of the slate of each of our minds. The shift, the correction. May all beings, not only here but around the world, may all beings be at peace. And then, before you open your eyes, see if you can just be quiet enough for right now, in this moment, to not have to think about the past or the future. Maybe just get present with an intention or your question, really present for yourself. So the next hour, an hour and a half, however long we're here together, something opens up for you. Open your eyes. Welcome.
What's the second number, Chris? Your house number?
Number 74. Hello, welcome. There's a seat over there. There you go. So who here's for the first time? Awesome. How did you guys, how did you find out about stuff?
Jamie told me about it.
Salzburg?
Yes.
Oh, man. You should listen to her. You should listen to her. Well, welcome, everyone. This is the second week we've done it at our place. We're switching it up. I'm sure I'll do it at the Duncan Center again, too. It was a very intimate setting last week, so we want to continue. We'll start broadcasting live, so hopefully some people can see, welcome. I want to start for the people that are new. There seems to be people that are new every week, and I say this to people, and it's not necessarily like a beginner class. I don't give it the kindergarten version, not to say that you're at the kindergarten level, but I don't give it, we're going to go for it. And don't take what I'm saying as like the truth. I say that and start off saying that all the time. I might read from the course set, which I probably will read from. This is has been a journey of mine for many years, and a lot of my studies and a lot of my experience as a trainer, facilitating this, going to India, sitting in satsangs myself. We'll see what comes out. I may use terms tonight. They might be like even Christian terms. Like if I read something from the course, it's not to be confused with like religion, or I'm not here to promote what you should believe or any of that. I'm just gonna either talk about the course, I'll talk about it from whatever angle it is, but it's to ultimately enrich your own story and your own experience of your life. All right, welcome, come on in. Everybody's gonna see you online. Say hi to the late person.
Yeah, late, bad and wrong.
So, that being said, let's start off. Are there any questions from last week or any quick burning questions? I know some of you have questions. So, what do you want to talk about? All right, let's focus up. Any questions? Who was here last week? Any questions from that experience? Anything that you guys want to start that we talk about? You have a question?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
If someone else wants to
So,
start.
like, what's my question for you guys is, how's your life been? Like, what is your experience on a daily basis of your life? What?
Sounds good.
Okay. What are you noticing about your life? What do you see? Anybody want to share? Any questions? Anything you've stumbled upon? Or are you going through life? Nothing comes up. You just go, yes.
I want to know I would like to know what surrendering to commitment looks like, because that's something that over this week, it's been like popping up in my life everywhere, and I can't seem to, like, I'll commit to something for a little bit, and then like sticking with satsang or sticking with Course in Miracles or, doing this, and then like a couple of days go by, and it's like my mind's like,
What do you notice like happens for you? It's so funny. We were having a conversation. Like, what do you notice happens? Do you just go like in life? Does something? Do you say I want to have this show up? I want to commit to this, and then life kind of lifes, and you just find yourself. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that, and then are you all over the place? Do you find that you're pulled to things that aren't so good for you? Like coming to satsang or reading the course or doing what you want to do is something that you think would enrich you? Is that your experience of it? And do you find that like things are distracting being enriched in your life?
yes, I have like one set like commitment, and then along the way another commitment pops up, and then I find myself like in a period of time with like 30 different commitments, and then I'm like, and then my mind like explodes. I'm like, oh.
Well, so like if we're talking about like the course, or we're talking about here in satsang, when we talk about from this perspective, the commitment ultimately is to how you're being. Like the commitment is to peace, or my commitment today is to forgiveness. My commitment today is to peace. My commitment today is to love. My commitment today is to, like the course would say is, I'm committed today, to seeing and looking on all things in life as innocent and harmless, and to me to recognize myself as like as Christ, as the Buddha, whatever you want to call it, doesn't even matter. But to see yourself as like the self, your true nature, like that could be your commitment, right?
Right.
That would be like a primary commitment, right? Do you see how like if you had a primary commitment, or we all had a primary commitment, that I could have other commitments that support that. Like some might say, my function in life is forgiveness and peace. All right? I can like place that right here. I can say my whole life is about peace and forgiveness. And I'm gonna have all these other commitments down here, like, okay, I gotta drive my mom to work, or I have to go cook, or I gotta go to be at my job at 9 o'clock. All of those could support my commitment for peace, or they could take me away from it, depending on who that I was being when I was doing all of that. You see everybody with me so far, right? So the question really is what is your life really gonna be about? See, what happens for a lot of people is they go, and we'll get to your question, like what does it mean to surrender to a commitment? But a lot of people are just pulled by the tide of life because there's no real stake in the ground of like, no matter what, this is what my life is about. Like for me personally, I just got to a space early on that I was like, my life is about awakening and peace and higher knowledge and what is my true nature. And everything else I did, some of the things supported that, some of the things didn't support that. Some of the things totally got in the way of it. And it seems like the stuff that got in the way of it, it faded by, and then the commitment, it was like a fire. The commitment to like the Course would say, salvation is my only function here. So your whole function from the Course would say is to wake up the fact that you're dreaming a dream that sometimes is a nightmare, sometimes you think is giving you pleasure, sometimes you hate it, sometimes you're obsessed with it, sometimes you're addicted to it, sometimes you wish you were out of it. So the Course is like, until you wake up to that, it doesn't even matter what you do in the dream. So until salvation, waking up to the fact that I'm one with life itself, one with the Creator, and that I am all that there is. Waking up to that, until that's your function and your true commitment, I'm going to say this lovingly to everybody, it really doesn't matter what your other commitments are. Because what's going to start to happen is, in my experience, I was on a radio or TV show last week, and they were interviewing me. And it's going to come out. I'll let you guys know. It'll be out next week, February 10th or whatever. And this person, they wanted to bring me in as somebody that they know they've been to this class, and they want to, like, somebody who's in transformation, is influencing and impacting a lot of people's lives. And they asked me, like, if you had one ingredient that you could give or have people have in terms of transforming their lives, what would it be? And what I said to them was, I said it would be earnestness. Like, I'm so committed to forgiveness and peace and waking up that if you're earnest about that, I don't really care what else you do. You'll always find your way. And you'll always find the next thing to do, the next place to be, the next thing, right? But what most people do, if you ever read Eckhart Tolle in A New Earth, he talked about this. Everyone has an inner purpose and an outer purpose. Everybody has the same inner purpose. The inner purpose is to awaken. Everybody has a different outer purpose. Some of you might be what you do. Everybody has different outer purposes. So this is what I find. When I have a true inner purpose to awaken, and all of my commitments in life are about fulfilling and supporting that, to surrender to a commitment is to surrender to. This is where it gets tricky for people. It can be the same as surrendering to a higher power. A lot of people think when you surrender to a higher power, you don't have any commitments. So there's a huge thing, and I think this is a big cop-out in spirituality. A lot of spirituality thinks, okay, I will just surrender to life, and wherever life wants me to go, I'll go. And I'll just do whatever's in the next moment, and I'll live moment to moment and all that. But it doesn't mean if you have commitments and you make declarations in life, and I declare myself a free man, and I make commitments in my life as a testament to my freedom, it doesn't mean that by making that I no longer am connected to a higher power. Am I clear on what I'm saying? I'm doing my best to really explain this. I was just having conversations about this. So a surrender to the commitment could be, this is my commitment. My commitment to my life is to awaken and to be at peace. And the way that shows up in my life is I have a certain game that I play every day. Waking up, going to work maybe. Surrender to a commitment like in a relationship. So, but you could treat, like I'm in a relationship, right? I treat giving my word and my commitments to Lori like I give it to God. Because my integrity depends on my ability to fulfill and keep my commitments, my promises, right? Surrendering to it is like a space of come from where there internally is like, I give my whole being to it. There isn't a maybe. It's if my peace of mind is my commitment, the surrender to it would mean I actually surrender to it wholly. Like, here's the thing, most people with commitment, and this isn't necessarily like satsang talk. I mean, I don't really, couldn't tell you the last time I started to talk about satsang, about commitment, but it's a great place to start. Because most people commitment is like, I'll commit to this with a back door over here. If you dedicated your whole life to peace, could you imagine if you were totally surrendered to that commitment? It would transform your life at this moment. If you dedicated your life to abundance and you surrendered totally to it and didn't have any back doors and didn't have any, well, depends on if I feel like it today. Depends on if I'm feeling good today. If you live like that, you surrender to whatever your commitment, your inner purpose truly was. And I would say, like from the Course perspective, is forgiveness. Your life would be transformed. But most people don't really surrender to that. They're very wishy-washy with it. It's like, I'll commit to peace if it looks the way that I want it to look. I'm committed to peace, and then you show up and piss me off, and now I'm no longer committed to peace. Now my surrender to my commitment is no longer there. I'm committed to the world working and people being loving, but when I get home and when I speak with my partner, they piss me off and annoy me, and now I no longer speak, and now I'm no longer surrendered to that commitment anymore. You see, this is what happens. This is why you said all these other commitments get in the way. That's actually a great mirror for our life, because what really happens for most people is we say we want peace, but we're just so distracted by so much other stuff in this world that this is the awesome thing. The moment that you declare yourself like, I am the light of the world, that's a bold declaration the Course has that we live by. All right, and some of you may know this declaration. It's a lesson in the Course. I am the light of the world. Well, the moment that I declare that, the life is going to show me all the places that I'm not congruent with that, where I haven't surrendered to the commitment. If you surrender to I am the light of the world, you would literally be the light of the world. Am I making sense right now? All right, so I know we're starting off on that. So you get to get clear on what your life's really about. And if you can keep, like the Course said, if you remember that salvation's my only function here, then life becomes very easy, because all you need to do is set your whole life up around that commitment. Then when you go to work tomorrow, that's about salvation is my only function here. When you're in your relationship, that's about peace of mind and salvation. Your next commitment, it's all the same thing. So really what happened is difficult for people is their commitments are all over the place because they really haven't discovered what it is they really want. Okay? So here I'm going to read to you my lesson today from A Course in Miracles. All right? Well, this is a great intro to what we're going to talk about. Okay? And then I'll tell you right there. Yeah, it's the 307. Okay, lesson 307. So I want you guys to hear this, and for those that are here for this for the first time, like, be gentle with yourself. I forgot to tell you that part. We might go slow in the beginning to really speed it up. You'll be okay. Some of them you'll be all right. Yeah. So, conflicting wishes cannot be my will. So what he's saying is, human beings, to be a human means to like have conflicting wishes. All right? So I'm going to read you the lesson, or I'll read you parts of it. So it's talking about God. You could call it Father, Mother, the Creator, that which gave rise to me. So God, your will is mine and only that. There is no other will for me to have. Let me not try to make another will, for it is senseless and will cause me pain. If I would have what only you can give, I must accept your will for me and enter into peace where conflict is impossible, where nothing contradicts the holy truth that I remain as God created me. And with this prayer, we enter silently into a state where conflict cannot come, because we join our holy will with God's holy will in recognition that they are the same will. So what he's saying in the Course, and this is specifically the way the Course talks about it, is God's will for you and your will are the same will. But this is the way human beings live. We have conflicting wills and wishes because we don't really know what we want. So this is how most people live. They show up to life and go, oh, I want this because I think that will give me this and I'll experience this. And then I go after that and it doesn't give me that experience. And then I go, okay, this will. And then that doesn't work. And then I go. And people create their whole lives after chasing after things, thinking that what they're chasing after is going to give them some experience that they don't already have. Are you everybody with me so far? But what he's saying is that God's will for you is perfect happiness. That's really your only function. Everything else is secondary. If you don't make that your primary commitment of peace and forgiveness and love, everything else, you'll lose yourself in all of the other things that you're chasing after in the world. And that's the difficulty that most people do, is they forget that really the only thing that you want is peace, I promise you. You think you'll find it in the ways that you set up in life, everything you set up. But God's will for you is peace, and it's the same will for yourself. So the question really becomes is not about your commitments and can I have them turn out, is am I being peace and surrender to life itself when I'm even fulfilling my commitments? You see what I mean? Everybody with me so far? Any questions on anything I've said? Let me just start there. Max, you good? You got a tense look before. All right. So I'm not as concerned about what you do or don't do as about who you are that's doing it or not doing it. That's like your state of being, of are you being peace? Are you surrendered to your ultimate commitment of peace, of forgiveness, of waking up? And then all these other commitments are, it becomes natural because they're all in alignment with it. You see what I mean? Your whole life becomes in alignment with what God's will is for you. Like each person in here is being led very specifically on a path, right? The difficulty is, like the Course would say, is your problem, the reason that you can't hear like the great spirit, the spirit within you, the teacher, the guide within you, where you can't hear that voice is because you're too busy listening to your own. And your own voice is just chasing you around like a dog chasing its tail. Oh, I want this today. Oh, I want that tomorrow. Oh, I want this. Oh, if I had this, I would feel good. If that happens, I'll be pissed off. I love you as long as you fit the way that I want you to fit. And life becomes this constant battle of trying to get peace from the world, and it's impossible. It's impossible. When you let all that stuff go, when you truly surrender to the commitment of heaven, which is what you are, and not sacrifice and let that go for anything in the world, the rest of your commitments become like an effortless dance. They become your curriculum while you're playing here for a little while. That's what I mean. I don't. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah.
You see what I mean? Because most people, they just go, just tell me. But everyone that comes to me, it's like the same thing. People come to me, they talk. Like, I just say, what is your life going to really be about? I don't know. Well, how would you even know what to surrender to and not then? But once the moment that you get clear of, wow, this whole life, my whole life is about waking up to the inner guru, to the fact that I am one with all that there is. If you make that the guiding force of your life, then all you have to do is go, does this fit into that or not? Does this fit into that or not? Does this fit into that or not? everybody is, instead of doing that, everyone's going, do I like this or not? Well, I like this today. What about tomorrow? I don't know if I like that anymore. And it's being like outward focused instead of inward focused, and then having the outward just match the inward. Everybody's trying to get the outward right first, and then they'll find the inward. Like, I'll just get all the commitments, I'll just get everything that I want to do set up right, and then I'll be at peace. I'll just get them to be the way that I want for me, then I'll be at peace. And it's this never-ending battle. Because here's what I want to tell you, that there is nothing in the world for you to find yourself in. The world is an illusion. It's like a projection of your own consciousness. There really isn't a world out there. And your commitment, we can even say your commitment is your word. And your word is what even has you have being. Like your word, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, the word was God. You saying I am is the word. Then the moment you say I am this, you now are playing with a whole game of form in your word that your commitment's either going to honor that and support that and enliven that and enrich that, or it's going to take away from it. So when you're surrendering to your commitment, you're really surrendering to yourself and your word and what you say you are and life is and who you say you are. You with me on that? So don't take what your commitments are lightly. And if you have all these commitments, like, start to make your commitments like you're making them to God, or you're making them, and if God, you don't like the word God, then use to your greatest self. Like you're making a commitment. So if I say I'm committed to peace, that is my commitment. And anything that shows up that's not peace, I get to recommit to peace, because you'll always be tested on your commitments to see if are you truly committed to that. Yeah. Any questions on that? Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if this makes sense.
We'll see.
We'll try. So what you're talking about, like, to me, there's like this paradox of the like two dichotomous systems, right? That you're choosing between like love and fear, or like peace and the opposite of peace, which doesn't really exist anyway, right? But if your commitment is always to peace, in order to choose peace, there's something like other than peace, right? In order to have you choose peace. And like the curriculum is to have you continue to choose peace all the time. But in order to have that, you have to have something other than peace in order to keep choosing peace.
Well, this is the paradox of the course. So like the third lesson of the Holy Spirit, so let's skip the first two. So you guys, we'll go over the first two also. So the first lesson of the Holy Spirit, does anybody know what it is in the course? First lesson is to give all to all. All right. So the course says in the beginning, that's very difficult for us because we think that in the moment I give, I no longer have. So in the course, what he's doing is he's totally reframing the way that we see giving. So to give all to all. And it's not even talking about like your material possessions, it's talking about give all to all of yourself. That in giving I receive. The second lesson of the Holy Spirit is to have peace, teach peace, to learn it. Okay? So if you want peace, we're very in the world, in the game of peace, we're very wishy-washy. We've allowed so many other things on the altar of our mind other than peace, that peace is like this dim light in our minds that we forgot what it is. So to reinforce it, in that lesson, the Holy Spirit actually says that peace and the light of peace is so dim in our minds that the way to reinforce it, we need to teach it all the time. And I don't mean teach it like this. I mean teach it like when you like even with your commitments, when you surrender to a commitment and you set your life up in such a way that you commit to people and you commit to things and you have it happen and you're all about peace and you teach people all the time, whether you learn of scarcity or abundance, whether you learn of fear or love, you're always teaching people all the time. So he's saying, if you want to have peace, you need to teach it all the time so you can reinforce it and learn it for yourself. You with me? Mm-hmm. Then the third lesson of the Holy Spirit is be vigilant only for God and his kingdom. Now he says the paradox is it makes you think that there's something other than God in his kingdom, but there really isn't. But right now, the way that we all live in the world is that we actually think there is something other than God in his kingdom. And it shows up as scarcity, loss of peace, not enough this, they can hurt me, this hurt me, I don't like this, if this were different, I would be okay. It shows up like that. But what he's saying is, as you commit to peace over and over and over again, and all the things that show up that are not that are incongruent with peace, eventually they're going to start to fade away. So only peace remains, because really only peace was there to begin with. But for right now, that's very difficult for all of our minds. Like if I were to tell you there is only light, everyone in here is already going to start to create their arguments, of, well, what about the person that's being raped right now? What about the poverty in the other countries? What about all this? The moment that I tell you there is only God, you're going to create a whole 100 arguments in the world to prove that that's not true. Because that's the way the world is set up. That's how everybody believes. Not enough time to have my commitments turn out. I'm not enough of a being to have life turn out a certain way. All kinds of scarcity shows up. Our minds and the context that we live in is one of scarcity. To be a human being itself is scarcity. Because to be a human being, you have to be disconnected from God. Scarcity. And what he's saying is, when you change your mind about all that, then your whole life will be only about reflecting that you are one with God and creation forever. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Am I speaking gibberish right now? Tell me if I am, and then we can maybe. But that's all of it. It's everyone. Listen, I've been coaching people, and I've been doing this class for many, many years. Everyone comes to me with the same problem. I tell people all the time, it's always the same problem. And what everybody's problem is, they don't really know what the problem is. That's everybody's problem. And it's like, what about my commitments? I don't know, this person pissed me off. If I could just get a raise, if this were just different, if I just had more money, and it never, ever ends. But if you actually see what the problem is in every moment, your only problem is separation from source. That's all it's ever gonna be. When you get that and you say, oh my gosh, my commitment is to recognize I am one with source, I am one with God, I am one with creation, and that is my true nature, and I want my entire life to reflect that, it becomes very easy to know what your commitments are.
So Chris, what I just heard you say was, it's like, kind of doesn't make sense. That to be a human being means that I am disconnected from God.
In the beginning, yes.
But
you know how
and my true nature is God.
That's correct.
And I'm that I am God.
That's correct.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So this is really important. I want you to hear this. And the reason it doesn't make sense is because you and all human beings have been buying scarcity for so long that the idea even to think that I am one with God was like, huh? Even it sounds like a cool concept. But look at the human experience. Everyone who's born at some point suffers the experience of separation. Unless it's a born like Avatar, which we don't need to talk about that for right now. I'm even going to propose that at some point they all experience even of, oh my gosh, I'm separate.
Well, I get that you're saying that, and I get the feeling, and I get that I feel separate from God.
Yeah, but you think about what you just said. You just contradicted yourself then.
No, I'm trying to put together what you just said.
Yeah, so just stay with me for a second.
Okay.
All I said is you are one with God, and separation is ultimately an illusion.
Okay.
To become a human being means to forget that for a time, period. That's all that it means. So there's a period of becoming a human being where you forget. It's like ingrained in the human beingness that you'll forget for a period.
Okay. That makes more sense saying it that way.
Okay.
So the period is our lifetime.
It may be for some people, I don't want to, some people maybe many lifetimes. Some people, it's since time began, they've been forgetting it and attempting to remember. Look at it like this. This is an analogy that Ram Dass used to use. I love it. And it's not mine. But like at 12 o'clock, Imagine at 12 o'clock, you're one with eternity. There is no separation at all. There is only God. At 12:01, there's a moment of separation, like the Course would say, is like, what would it be like to be other than God? Right? It's 12:01. And at 12:01, the Course says, the Son of God forgot to laugh. It was a tiny, mad idea, thought in the mind of God. What would it be like to be other than God? And then poof, 12:01, suddenly now, time is born, you're a body. And even the experience of God seems to be forgotten. Right? And you have a world of people walking around on the planet forgetting that there is only God. I mean, it doesn't take much to look at the human experience to see this. 12:01, they would say, like, is the birth into separation, hell, ultimately. And from 12:01, there's a whole journey from 12:01 to, let's say, 6 o'clock, a journey of solidifying that separation is real, time is real, all of this. And the atrocities that we've experienced and lived and done, and all of the crazy things to solidify that I am a body separate from the world, all of that stuff is in that like time period from 12:01 to 6 o'clock. Everybody with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
And then around 6 o'clock, it's like, wow, there's got to be another way.
Wait, what are you equating the time to? Are you equating time to time?
I'm just
When you
using
say
the
from
clock.
12:01 to, yeah.
I'm just using the clock as like a journey that really, I don't want to twist everybody's brain, a journey that is already over.
But not everybody's in the same place. on the
So
clock.
just let me finish the clock and we can talk about it.
Okay.
Everybody wants to jump, all right? Just stay with me for a second. So 12:01 to 6 o'clock is the journey of separation, solidifying separation. All of your dark nightmares that everybody in here has dreamt is all in there. And at 6:01, something happens. We can call it the beginning of the ascension back, of there must be another way. Some of you have hit rock bottom in your life when that has happened. Some of you in your greatest catastrophes have, like, there was a voice of awakening for you. 6:01 to 11:59, we'll say, is the journey back. Okay? Now I want you, this clock is imaginary because you never left. But if I were to say to you, there is only God, you'd be like, that's awesome. It's so great. It's Wednesday night. I'm in your house, Chris. That sounds great. Who cares? You're going to go tomorrow and you're going to forget it as soon as you wake up tomorrow morning. And you're going to go through this, oh my gosh, I read so much amazing stuff in the Course and now I'm in my crap today. And oh my gosh, God's nowhere to be found. Why did you abandon me? You'll play this whole game. I've seen many of you do this. Okay? All right? So, and then you'll go, well, this doesn't make sense. If there is only God, how can I even experience all of this? And I said you contradicted yourself, but the ego always contradicts itself. Because what the ego tries to do is say that there really is separation, that fear really is real, scarcity is really real, all the nightmares you dreamt, they're all real. They're not, they don't even really exist. So how do we talk about something that doesn't even exist? To you, it's like your reality. I'm going to read some, question next.
So,
I'm going to read his
of course, I agree with what you're saying, but I run into this problem, and like you said, it's already everyone has the same thing. But so, like in what I do,
Yes.
right? So what I do is all I do corporate law, right? So
Yes.
That's what I do, and all corporate law is bullshit.
Yes.
It's all nonsense. So it's all nonsense.
That might be the smartest thing I've heard a lawyer say.
And here's the thing, right? Really, because everything we built is make believe. It's all serious make believe things.
Correct.
Make believe things that somebody has to believe in order to make everything happen.
Yes.
Now, this is really how the law works. So you take years learning it, but
Yes.
so the thing is, to be congruent with like what you're saying, to be congruent, like love is what you are, and peace is what you are. Now, to play in the real world, what you're saying, you play from that space of being peace, and then to play with all these imaginary things is always imaginary.
Yes.
I struggle with the concept of making those two things congruent because it seems as though that there's something missing.
Yeah. Okay, and I don't know if this is going to support you,
Okay.
but maybe what's missing in there for you, and I want everybody to listen to me, is that Max's world and all of your world is also set up like the law is set up. So I want you to stay with this for a moment. I know this is why I said this is not like a kindergarten class. the way Max set up Max's game. How old are you, Max?
31.
So 31 years of Maxness. And all of the identity of Max and everything that Max says, and even when you go, I am Max, and I am this body, this is my body, and all of Max's stuff in Max's world that you ascribe and attach me and mine to, okay? All right? That body, your intellect, your personality, all of the Maxness, and everything you identify in the game of Max, in the waking state of Max's life, is also set up like law is set up. All right? And when you see that all of that stuff is all make-believe and you only believe it because you told yourself it enough times that you said that's what it is.
So really, we're saying, and this conclusion I'm drawing to be opposite, we're really free to play in any way we want.
That's correct. Because the whole thing is an illusion. Now, here's a couple rules in it.
Okay.
That if you got that, there's a few things you wouldn't do. If you really got that the whole game was an illusion and that there is only myself, that I am all of it, you wouldn't go down the street and rape a woman and shoot somebody and rob them. Because you would see in the moment, by taking from them, I also am losing. Because I'm actually splitting and taking from myself. You get that? So what starts to happen is, even though the game is set up as an illusory dream type world, there's some like laws in it that are actually fundamental to the game. One of them is how I see you and the world determines how I see myself. I can't go up to Max and just be like, I hate Max, and think that I will experience unconditional love as Chris. It's impossible. That's not the way the game. It's like in law, even though the law is all made up, you still need two people to agree on it, right? That would need to happen even for imaginary law to be there. It's the same thing in your life. How you see the world and yourself and other people will dictate how you see yourself. Okay? You with me so far? The whole thing is made up, but I want to go back to Colleen, what you were saying now here. I'm going to read this. And remember, I've been looking for this for like months because it was in my old book. All right, I found it after Satsang last week, and I was like, I want to read this next week. Okay, so everybody take a breath. You know, take a deep breath.
We're
I read
good.
this. All right, I need to take a breath because this is awesome. All right,
Where is it from?
this is from chapter 10, section 4, the God of sickness. Only at the altar of God will you find peace. So right there, he's telling you the only place you're going to find it. Only at the altar of God will you find peace. And this altar is in you because God put it there. His voice, God's voice, still calls you to return, and he will be heard when you place no other gods before him. So he's saying right off the bat that the altar of God is in you, and that's the only place you're going to find peace. And he will be heard. His voice still calls you to return, and he will be heard when you place no other gods before him. You can give up the god of sickness for your brothers. In fact, you would have to do so if you give him up for yourself. So now we're speaking into what we're talking about. You could give up the god of sickness for your brothers and sisters, and actually you're going to have to do that if you want to give it up for yourself. For if you see the god of sickness anywhere, and you could substitute the god of sickness for the god of scarcity, the god of separation, and we put that with little g, not like God. He's talking about with a little g in there. The gods of the ego. If you see the god of sickness anywhere, if you see the god of scarcity anywhere, if you see the god of separation anywhere, if you see the god of sickness anywhere, you've accepted him. And if you accept him, you will bow down and worship him because he was made as God's replacement. Okay. Before I read on, I want to go back to what you were saying.
Where's that?
This is chapter 10, section 3. I want to go back to what you're saying. There is no separation from God. It's totally illusion. but you bought the illusion. And in some ways, for all of us, we want the illusion to be real. So this idea that there is separation that's even possible is ludicrous. Okay? If you accept the God of separation, you'll bow down and worship him because he was made as God's replacement. So separation was made to replace God. The world was made to replace God. So the God of separation, the God of sickness, is the belief that you can choose which God is real. Even to say, like all the dark nightmares that you suffer, you still think that they're real in your mind. The moment I tell you that they're not and it's an illusion, even there's a part of it that goes, what are you talking about? Of course they are. I don't want to have them happen again. So he's calling out everything that's not heaven and peace is totally an illusion. Now, this line is an important one. So he says, he's the belief that you could choose which God is real. All right, so I want to read that again. I'm going to start again. Only at the altar of God will you find peace, and this altar is in you because God put it there. His voice still calls you to return, and he will be heard when you place no other gods before him. You can give up the God of sickness for your brothers. In fact, you would have to do so if you give him up for yourself. For if you see the God of sickness anywhere, you've accepted him. And if you accept him, you will bow down and worship him because he was made, the God of sickness was made as God's replacement. He is the belief that you can choose which God is real. Although it is clear this has nothing to do with reality, it is equally clear that it has everything to do with reality as you perceive it. So right there, when I read that line, I was like, oh my, I was blown away. He says, although it is clear this has nothing to do with reality, thinking God's real sometimes and peace is what I'll choose sometimes, and sickness and death and scarcity and abandonment from God and the nightmare is real other times, that's just so you can flip-flop and choose which God is real whenever you feel like doing it. And he says, that's actually you trying to play like God yourself. Not to surrender to that you're one with God, but you can kick God off the throne and you can decide when you'll choose heaven and when you'll choose the world at your convenience. He says, although this has nothing to do with reality, it has everything to do with reality the way that you perceive it. Because we perceive in, oh, I'll love you when you act the way I want, but if you don't, I hate you. That's not love. That's just hate dressed in love's uniform. And the fact that we think that we could switch from love to hate, from heaven to hell, from God to the body and being separate when we feel like doing it, he says is what has made love really meaningless to us in the end. So you're right. What I said is the fact that we are one with God, but you really don't believe that. If you did, you would be the light of the world and you would never choose anything other than God and his kingdom. Why would you? Who would sacrifice heaven for nothing? That's insane. That's like giving all your money for an investment. That's like donating all your money in law. That's like investing all your money in a company that's already gone under. Who would do that? That's like the worst investment you could. And if you sacrifice heaven for something in this world, you've given away everything for nothing. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, it's actually equating to the crazies for me.
Yes, and you have to understand something. People come to me all the time, they go, I don't want to be crazy. I say this with love for everybody, and this isn't for people that are watching online. Okay, they could have dropped off. But for anyone watching this, hear any of that stuff. You have to understand that when people, we want insanity to be real. Because if insanity is not real, that means everything you've told yourself about the world and yourself is all nothing. And it is. And he says in the Course that when we would run to, we were afraid that we would let go of all of our defenses, and we would race to God in heaven, which we would. But we don't really want to do that. We want control of our life and our world to be the way that we want it to be. And it said basically, it's like I just get this to be the way that I want it to be, and then it will be like everything to me, and then I'll be at peace. And it never works. And that's all your crazies are all from that, because you want life to be the way that you think it should look, and when it shows up the way that it is, your will is split. The moment that what is, you don't want it to be what it is. You are now at war with God and life. And the moment that you see what is exactly what it is because that is your will for it to be that way, there is no more war with life anymore. And haven't you noticed in everything that's happened in your life for you, for everybody here, it is all worked out for you? Everything. Everything is worked out. So your will is for it, it's all to work out all the time. Is that making sense?
Sure.
So separation is totally an illusion. It creates scarcity is an illusion. It creates a state that really, so in the Course it says when you're really afraid and you're stuck in that space of separation, you're not even really alive. Not even really alive because your nature is eternal. How could heaven, the kingdom of heaven isn't within you, the kingdom of heaven is you. If you are the kingdom of heaven, how could you have scarcity or need anything? That's the question. Yeah. Any other questions? We said, yeah, Max.
So let's say you're dealing with, you're interacting with people, right? And not to say that this is the argument against this, because it's not all I'm saying. But if you are acting as peace or you're acting as love, and you're interacting with somebody who's not connecting in the same way as you are, now my initial reaction is just to cut them out because it's like you're not in my picture of what it is, and it's easier for me to see what I want to see if you're not in the picture, right? But it doesn't really work because it's not congruent with being peace and being kindness. So the question is then, if we're going to be peace and love all the time, and you're connecting with somebody who isn't that, right?
Yeah.
And so we're not saying that they're not, but it isn't a way of being that they're being that. So
it's not about the form.
Okay.
So the Course says the form doesn't matter. What's that?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Because you have to understand, it's not about the form. You say, I'm being peace and love. Does that mean everybody gets to come over my house on Christmas? No. Does that mean everybody's allowed upstairs? And oh my gosh, no. It's the form of the relationship. The Course says the only thing you need to, this is the only thing that you need to, how do I word it? The only thing you need to make sure of in any relationship is that you don't dictate the way it should be, and you ask the Holy Spirit, or you ask the guidance. So if I'm being loved, there will be people that are naturally going to vibrate out of your life. That you could still, but here's what I want you to understand. You will never be out of relationship with anybody because they all exist in your mind. Even when you say, I cut them out in form, you're still connected to them in your mind. So in your mind, if you offer them roses or you offer them thorns, or you crucify them in your mind, or you offer them thanks, those are going to be two totally different realities for you. I don't care whether you hang out with them or not. You may not. There's people that have come in my life and have gone in my life. There are people that vibrate in and stay in. There are people that vibrate out. The form of it does not matter. There is only myself, and there is only mind. So the Course calls it content, not like the way we use in the trainings. The Course calls spirit content and form as of the world, where you either see your brother as spirit or you see them as a body. That is it. All minds are joined. There is only one mind. So how you view them in your mind is of the utmost importance, and the form, who knows how the form's going to be. It really ultimately doesn't matter. Some people you just may not vibrate with each other. It just may happen. And it might not even be, it doesn't even need to be of like if we were vibrating, you forgave me, we would be hanging out all the time. It doesn't need to be like any of that. And a lot of people collapse that. A lot of people will collapse that even with the Course. Forgiveness, you have to understand something. This is what I want to say. There is nobody else out there. So there isn't really even somebody to go, well, Max, I like Max. So maybe I do like Max in form, but there really isn't even a Max there. I just have a guy and a picture of a lawyer with a hoodie in front of me that's 31, and all I make up about Maxness is not Max. So even if Max came up to me and said, I hate you, Chris, and all this stuff, and we were not even together anymore, all I even see in Max is my picture in my mind about Max. And the question is do I attack the picture or do I see it only as a picture and I only offer love to all things in my mind? But I don't care about the form. I don't know if you're going to stay friends with that person or not. The form doesn't really even matter. That's why the Course says, I need do nothing. There's nothing you need to do or not do. The question is, can you send compassion and love to all beings and not choose anything? The only reason you would choose something other than love in your mind, now get this part, is because you think your picture of that person can hurt you, that they can attack you. But minds cannot attack. Only bodies can attack each other. So think about that. If I say, I hate Max, Max did this, and I go over here to Jamie and talk about Max, and screw Max, and I hate him. Really why I'm attacking you in my mind is the picture I have of Max, I believe can threaten me or something about me. So my attack of you is to defend myself. Everybody get that? Anytime you struggle with anything in the world, you're doing it because you're afraid of being attacked by it or that it could hurt you. And your first attack was that you made yourself weak, that you could be hurt to begin with. That's really the attack. And then you just make it about Max or whoever it is that they can do it to me. And it's insane. It's attack projected outward. And it's all from guilt. Like, oh my gosh, who would walk away from heaven and not feel guilty about it and not think, holy cow, I got the raw end of the deal here. That's impossible. You would think like this is insane. I just gave away eternity, everything for nothing, right? So the Course says. So what he says in the Course, he says it's so powerful. He says all of your fear and scarcity comes from a deep sense of loss, that you lost the kingdom. But my friends, you did not lose it. You cannot lose it. You are it. And you'll play the game of hide and seek with it for a little while. For time. So really? Holy cow. There's only 4 minutes left? Oh no, we can keep going. We can go a little longer. We'll do something. I just didn't know if it was. Yeah, it's fine. Thank you though. Thank you, Tom. So what was I saying? So we'll play a game of hide and seek for a little bit. All right, we'll play the game of hide and seek for a little bit while time still lasts, and there will come a moment when even time evaporates and you'll recognize you were home the whole time. And that's it right now. The great masters, you say, like, just hold on to the I am-ness and see your aliveness, and it will reveal like what's beyond it for you. But we forget to look inward and we look outward, and then we forget that we are eternal beings. You're it. You're the game. You're it. Any other questions? We're going to wrap up soon. I want to do something like a quick closed eye process with everybody. Any questions on that? That just blow your heads off a little bit.
Yep. I love it.
It's really simple what I'm saying. It's not very complicated. What's complicated is insanity. That's really complicated. Yeah, Steve.
Hey, Chris, I believe in all that you're saying. And what I'm finding recently is I choose to be in that place of peace. And I work on it. And I choose to be healthy. And I don't choose the God of sickness. But I'm surrounded by people who are choosing the God of sickness. And it's not that these are people that have been with me for years or just started meeting in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult for me I can be compassionate for them, but as the healer or the guy who wants to fix them,
yes, all right.
It's very, very
you just said it right there. So, as the guy that wants to fix them. So here's what I'm going to, and this is so perfect, and then we'll wrap up with this, okay? Should healing be repeated? Page 22 in the Manual for Teachers, section 7. I'm going to read it to you. Okay. So, whenever a teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. Should he be tempted to doubt this, he should not repeat his previous effort. That was already maximal because the Holy Spirit so accepted it and so used it. Now the teacher of God has only one course to follow. So I want to find exactly what I want to read here. Okay. It is in this that the teacher of God must trust. This is what is really meant by the statement that one responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. Okay? Okay. One of the most difficult temptations to recognize is that to doubt a healing because of the appearance of continuing symptoms is a mistake in the form of lack of trust. As such, yeah. So I want you to hear this. This is for everybody that wants everybody to be healed and goes, oh my gosh, they're still not healed.
Can you read the first sentence you said too? The first, like,
This is, which one?
the very first sentence you read.
This, should healing be repeated?
Right.
Okay? So this question really answers itself. I don't know if I read that part. Healing cannot be repeated. If the patient is healed, what remains to heal him from? Okay? And then I said, whenever a teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. Okay. One of the most difficult temptations to recognize is that to doubt a healing because of the appearance of continuing symptoms is a mistake in the form of lack of trust. So we're actually not even trusting that if I sit with you and I choose the Holy Spirit in my mind in that moment to be a channel of healing for you, it does not matter when it shows up. It's already guaranteed. He says, so to doubt a healing because of the appearance of continuing symptoms is a mistake in the form of lack of trust. As such, it is an attack. Usually it seems to be just the opposite. So you're going, I'm not attacking, I'm totally about them being healed, but why are they not healing already? It really is an attack because you are doubting the Holy Spirit, and the moment that you choose healing for yourself and accept the atonement for yourself and extend it to your brothers and sisters, it does not matter when it happens for them. It already is. What's that? It already has happened. So he's saying, so as such, it is an attack. Usually it seems to be just the opposite. It does appear unreasonable at first to be told that continued concern is attack. It has all the appearances of love, yet love without trust is impossible, and doubt and trust cannot coexist. So he's saying it's not even really love what you're saying, it's this continued concern about people's sicknesses in the disguise of love for them.
So it would still be considered a sickness.
What's that? To see them that way.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's why the sole purpose of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for themselves. I am very clear that the moment I choose the atonement for myself in any relationship at any moment, even in that person, even if the right word is said, Maharaj used to say this in satsang. He'd say, the seed is planted. When it sprouts is its own accord. I have nothing to do with that. But the moment that any of you, for anyone that you appears to be sick in your life, the moment that you doubt that healing, you have now lost trust yourself. And now you get to step back and re-choose the atonement for yourself. And he goes on and says that. If you are offering only healing, you cannot doubt. It is already accepted. So just to finish up what Steve said, and then we're going to wrap up, is you want to start to look at that as your frustration around them not waking up is your own attack. And that's subtly how you still look at the God of sickness. It just shows up in, oh my gosh, aren't they getting it already? Oh my gosh, how long have you people been coming here for? Haven't you gotten it already? Do you see what I'm saying? There is no you to really get. There's only have I accepted the atonement for myself. And that's why it says, how many teachers of God are needed to transform the world? Only one who really gets the curriculum. So in those moments, and I would read that, should healing be repeated, where I read from? And in those moments, you want to step back and you want to recognize that your doubt and your mistrust is about you losing the atonement for yourself. And choose it again, and then give all the results over to the Holy Spirit. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, when Arjuna, any of you are familiar with the Gita, when Krishna tells Arjuna, you need to go out and he doesn't want to go on the battlefield and fight. He says, you need to do your work. It's your karma. Give the fruits of all of your work over to me. It's the same thing with healing in the Course. You be the channel for the healing to occur for all beings around you, and you surrender to the time, the place that happens, to the great spirit within them, the inner guru, their guide, and you that's it. And you recognize you have to understand, they're only there to show you for your own awakening anyway. Does that support that? Yeah. So be gentle, and I've learned that for some of the great teachers in my life, like my mom and other people. Relationship is that you start to learn your own compassion for your own predicament, and you become gentler with people and where they're at. That healing is certain. It's certain. The time that it will come and when it will come will be in an instant. I don't know when the instant will be for you and for other people.
I was just, because we're both Reiki masters, and that's one of the things that I've learned is exactly what you just said. It's all healing is intention, just intention. There's nothing else you need but to know that it's happening.
Yeah, and when you have to understand, everybody's going to wake up. You can't not. Your nature is eternal. That's why in the Course, and then we're going to wrap up. I want to wrap up. You have a question? So
Sure.
just ask the question now.
It's more of a training question based on what you're saying. So
We'll answer that after. But what he says in the Course, he says, if you want me to teach you to be like me, I will, because we're one and the same. If you want to be other than me, I'll wait till you change your mind. And you're going to change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So healing is certain. Everybody's going to get tired of playing the game of grabbing at things in the world and attaching to it, trying to find heaven in it. And the moment that it happens, they will wake up to this. That's why in the Course, at the beginning of the Course, it says it's a required curriculum. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean you get to establish the curriculum. It only means you get to elect what you want to take at any given time. So this is a required course. What we're talking about here. I'm just using the Course, but I could, whether we're talking about Maharaj, we talk about any other teachings, it's all about you waking up to the Godhead, the ascension process. This is what they've been talking about in Egyptian times, in the Bhagavad Gita, all the great scriptures. I mean, it's all been talking about the same thing. The ascension process, the ascension of the human spirit is about your journey, you. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So let's close our eyes. Close your eyes. I want you to connect with what was being said. God's answer is some form of peace. All pain is healed. All misery replaced with joy. All prison doors are opened. And all sin is understood as merely a mistake. Father, today we will forgive your world and let creation be your own. We have misunderstood all things, but we have not made sinners of the Holy Son, the Holy Child of God. What you created sinless abides forever and forever. Such are we, And we rejoice to learn that we have made mistakes which have no real effects on us. Sin is impossible, and on this fact, forgiveness rests upon a certain base more solid than the shadow world we see. Help us forgive, for we would be redeemed. Help us forgive, for we would be at peace. God's answer is some form of peace. All pain is healed, all misery replaced with joy, all prison doors are open, and all sin is understood as merely a mistake. May all beings be at peace. May you see yourself as the light that you are. May your whole life and everything you see become a reflection of that. Shanti. I don't know.
Anyone new here that wants to be on the email list?
Can you hit stop
Your name,
broadcast, please?
email.